Hi, I'm Chris McMahon. I'm reading through the chapter 1 of my science fiction novel, The Torsetti Diversion, page 7. A redoubled sense of urgency propelled Carrick out of the command chair and across to the hatchway. He touched the faceted diamond of the release sensor on the wall, which was lit with sharp highlights of red and amber that would still be visible through smoke and fume in an emergency. Such a simple piece of equipment, yet somehow smooth and reassuring beneath his thumb. The hatch shot open with the soft hiss of the broken seal and a muted thud as it hit its stops inside the wall. At least that still works. It shut automatically behind him with a dull thump. Outside, he followed the narrow corridor that ran down the length of the habitat section to the biodome. To his left and right, he passed the crew's day areas, laboratories and workrooms, now out of sight behind closed hatchways. His breath came faster. The crew were helpless in stasis. If the worst came to pass, those spaces would remain empty and silent as a mausoleum. Here, as for all areas of the ship, the floors were covered with the ubiquitous grey polymer coating. Tough and durable, it deadened the sound of his footfalls, giving slightly under his weight, and helped to dampen vibration. It was functional and well designed, yet it always brought up images of the overcrowded urban towers of Earth and the grey composite polymers used there for durability and resistance to vandalism and graffiti. As though even in this tiny capsule of human life, the stark inequalities of Earth clung to them. The walls and ceiling were lined with moulded white plastic glow panels, now softly lit. The crew's bunks and stasis chambers were in the low G sections of the habitat above his head and closer to the axis. The upside-down layout of a rotating habitat had seemed strange at first, but was now second nature. It was only the centrifugal force throwing his weight against the inside of the hull that gave the illusion of gravity. Despite the danger that he was in, he felt the visceral thrill of being here on the first Terran starship. Based on reports that had reached them at Epsilon Eridani, 9 interstellar craft had left Earth after them, some heading for systems that were not even considered likely candidates in 2157 when the starburst set out, but had become hot targets based on new observations. The possibility of being upstaged by these newcomers made no difference to Carrick. So the starburst was the first. Her voyage was a realization of his own lifelong dream. Carrick had been against the diversion to Torsetti. Within 10 light-years of Epsilon Eridani, there were more than 8 systems that looked just as promising. In a few days of personal time, with each of the crew taking their turn out of suspension to monitor the ship, enough real time would have elapsed for Earth's gigantic orbital telescopes to provide them with a much more thoroughly analysed target system, a system with much lower inherent risk and a greater chance of success. The race is still on, Jansen had argued. We may be the first to leave Earth, but we have the oldest tech. If we want to be the first to find signs of alien life or a habitable planet, we cannot wait for Earth's astronomers. Carrick still remembered the warmth of Jansen's hand on his shoulder and looking up into his handsome face, framed, as always, by his stylish Odin glasses. This is our chance, Carrick. We are at the frontier. We have to take the gamble. In the end, there was nothing Carrick could say to alter what was, in fact, a command decision. Even if it had not been so, it would have been hard not to have been swayed by Jansen's optimistic certainty. I guess when you were the son of the legendary Zin Davis and heir to the immense Davis fortune, you had plenty to smile about. Not that Carrick begrudged him his wealth, far from it. If not for Jansen and the backing of his company, Explore Corp, the Starburst would never have left Earth orbit.